and the beauty of the handwritten note thing is it's kind of one-sided. So, you're not, and I'm all for calling and stuff, but you're not catching it. You're not getting, oh, gee, it went to voicemail and you're having to leave a voicemail. You basically, it's one-sided, and it's a handwritten note. They're going to have to open it. You just can't throw away a handwritten note.
Welcome to Stay Paid Real Estate Marketing. Unlock the secrets of success in the real estate world, where each episode delivers valuable tips and strategies to elevate your marketing game and help you succeed in both life and business. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree, and our guest today is Mike Wagner. Mike is a top producing agent and associate broker with Pearson Smith Realty. He's been an agent since 2001 and earned his broker's license in 2008, along with his certifications, which include ABR, ePro, and a member of the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing. He spent time on the board of directors for the Dulles Area Association of Realtors and is certified mostly real estate school instructor. Mike, thanks for being on Stay Paid.
Wow. Hey, great intro, and thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Mike, it's awesome to have you, man. Excited to talk to you because I was able to have a phone call with you. You have been a client of ours for many, many years and a huge supporter and advocate of what we do here at Reminder Media. But we got on a phone call and you were sharing with me about this class that you do for real estate agents, specifically new agents. And it's kind of like this concept of agents get their license and they get a brokerage and they get into the business, and it's like, now what? What do I actually do? So I would love for you to share like your thoughts around that question of like, now what? What does an agent actually do day one in the business to drive success? Sure.
So just a little background. I teach the Mosley School. I teach real estate school for new agents joining, becoming agents. And I started doing that about a decade ago. And, they would get their license, and a lot of times they would, join the company I was at. I was originally KW, and they would join, and I'd say, hey, go to classes, learn, and all that. And I found myself, bumping into them a month later in the office and saying, hey, how's your business? How you doing? And they would look at me like a deer in headlights, just like, I've been to 10 classes. I have learned that there's 10 things that I need to do in each class. So now I have a to-do list of 100 things, and I just don't know where to start. And in today's real estate industry, even more than 10 years ago, there's the digital disruption is changing everything so rapidly.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of hard to know exactly kind of what you should be doing to get the job done. So for about 10 years now, I've been teaching day one in real estate, and it's kind of a 2-hour, 3-hour seminar. Do it every month on a Saturday morning. And we just talk about the fundamentals, guys, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So, let's get focused on, a few things. And generally we basically just talk about, hey, you're starting your own company. You're the new CEO of this real estate company. And, what's your number one job in your real estate company? And agents will be kind of like, oh, I sign contracts, show houses. And I'm like, no, your number one job is lead generation, finding people that want to help buy and want you to help them buy and sell real estate. So we speak about, working on their sphere of influence and really drill down on, the first 3 months, just work on this stuff.
So tell me, because I agree so much. It's like, I heard a guy say, it's like, you're not even in the real estate business, you're in the lead gen business is really what you're in. When you think about like the daily activity of a real estate agent, can you dive down a little deeper into like the sphere? When you talk to people about, okay, your day one, how do you think about putting together your sphere? How do you think about making sure they know you're a real estate agent? Like, what does that process look like to you?
So at the risk of just kind of, doing my day one class for you guys right on the podcast.
Well, we don't have 2 hours, but yes, condense it. Yeah. Let us have it.
Yeah. Well, so I'll kind of say a few things that just immediately come to mind when you say that. One is, I say to folks, hey guys, what are you doing here? Are you a full-time agent or are you a part-time agent? And generally about half the class raises their hand. I'm full-time. And I say to everybody in here, if you don't raise your hand and you're not a full-time agent, then you're on the wrong track already. And they look at me like, well, we'll have a day job. Well, you may have a full-time day job, but your passion and your full-time activity is you're a passionate real estate agent and you're out to help everybody and give the best service. And so right out of the gate, you're a full-time agent because people don't want a newbie or somebody that's doing this as a hobby. So then I say to them something along the lines, well, now that this is your full-time thing, you're going to do it for 30 years. And in 30 years, what are you going to do with that business? And a lot of times they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you're going to be pretty burnt out, maybe 30 years of real estate. So what are you going to, and a lot of them will say, well, I'm going to sell the business. And I say, aha, you're going to sell the business. What are you going to sell? And they're like, oh, I don't know. My information. I'm like, and what would that be? And eventually I'll work the word database out of them. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to sell my database. I'm like, okay, when do you start your database? And all of them are starting to kind of getting it. They're like, oh, yesterday. So you start your database, and the database is often made up of your sphere of influence. And basically I want them for the first 2-3 months. I want you to go and find every human being you've ever talked to in your life who doesn't think you're a jerk, and ask them, hey, or find out their contact information and be able to reach out to them either via text or physical address or phone number or all three. So building the sphere, and then we talk about a kind of a 3 to 6 month ramp up where you reach out to your sphere in day one. And that that involves the American Lifestyle magazine that Luke and I talked a little bit about, and being very purposeful and setting up several steps to impact your sphere so they know that you're a serious agent that should be considered when it comes to their real estate needs.
Yeah, I was going to ask
any questions, or you want me to just keep going crazy?
I was going to ask, what do you recommend? Because I know a lot of people feel awkward calling their friends and family and saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent, or introducing them. Like, how do you coach people to have that conversation so it's more natural, or they're not afraid of those phone calls?
No, I get it. Well, with your sphere of influence, especially the ones that, are a little bit closer, as maybe Buffini or somebody would say, A clients or warmer, friendlier people that know and care about you. You are making a career choice. So you're sharing with them, hey, I've decided to take the leap and become a real estate agent. And it's because I'm passionate about real estate and I'm passionate about helping people and reaching out to your sphere of influence and letting them know that you're doing that is, kind of one of your important jobs. So I don't necessarily start out with the phone call to them, but I would say, okay, I want you to be very purposeful for the first little while, get all the phone numbers, all the physical addresses, and all the emails that you can of them and put them in a database. And I tell people, don't overthink what database you're going to use. If your brokerage provides one for you, use that one. If the brokerage doesn't provide one for you, I use one that's called Excel. Have you guys ever heard of this Excel?
It's excellent. Yeah.
Excellent. It is. And so, just start it by putting it in an Excel, simple, first name, last name, physical address, phone number, email address, maybe some notes. And then the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to, and probably one of the most important actions for the new agent reaching out to their sphere. Somebody told, and I'm so pleased that somebody told me to do this 20 some odd years ago, is get the physical address for as many people as you can that you know, and basically, and if you and getting that physical address, look it up in the tax record. You have access to the MLS. You're on Facebook with them. Send them a private message saying, hey, I'm thinking about sending out Christmas cards this year, and I have an important announcement I want to make. What's the best physical address I can send you something?
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to say, sure, it's 123 Main Street.
Yep.
Some people, they live over in such and such neighborhood. Well, you can look up their name and look in the tax record and look up in that such and such neighborhood and find their physical address. Anyway, once you've accumulated those addresses, take 3, 4, 5 days, however long it takes you, and write them a personal handwritten note that says that you're going to be that you're starting a new company in real estate. And I even tell the people attending the day one class, it starts out, "Dear Luke, I have taken the leap and have become a full-time real estate agent with a local powerhouse real estate company, X, whatever company you are. Please know that I am going to take the very best care of anybody that you send my way. Thanks so much for your support, Luke. Your friend, Mike."
I love that. Yeah, because I've often said, like, people want to be included into your journey. And I heard this on a podcast the other day that was really powerful. And I believe, to give credit, it was Ben Shapiro. And he was being interviewed on another podcast. So Ben Shapiro is known for being a political pundit guy, but he was being interviewed about his business that he started, the Daily Wire. And they were talking to him, and they were talking to him about the keys to building a media company and building a successful company. And one of the things he said was, you've got to be willing to ask the people in your sphere for a favor, the people in your network for a favor. And he says most people do not do that, because most people have this reaction: I don't want to ask Mike for a favor because then I owe Mike something. And nobody wants to feel like they owe somebody something, so they avoid asking for a favor. But he says it's actually, you have to ask for a favor, because guess what? When you ask somebody for a favor, you actually make them feel important. You make them feel good. People love doing favors for other people, because they also know subconsciously, you owe me. So it's like, there's this, it's really changed my whole perspective on you don't ask for a favor because you don't want to owe somebody something. And it's like, no, give them that ability to where they can have something over you in a great way. People want to be invited into your story. And the fact that you're saying, I took the leap and started a company with Powerhouse Brokerage X, and I will take so good care of the people that you send me, is incredible, because you're sharing, hey, be part of my journey, and I need a favor from you. And my brother, who's a real estate agent in Virginia, he's in Lynchburg, Virginia, all of his new team members, when they come on, he makes them call their sphere. They almost always get at least one referral making those calls to their sphere. So I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Well, and the beauty of the handwritten note thing is it's kind of one-sided. So, you're not, and I'm all for calling and stuff, but you're not catching it. You're not getting, oh, gee, it went to voicemail, and you're having to leave a voicemail. You basically, it's one-sided, and it's a handwritten note. They're going to have to open it. You just can't throw away a handwritten note.
Yeah.
And so you're going to open it, and you're going to look at the card, and basically you're going to take the handwritten note and the business card, and you're not going to be able to put that in the trash can right away. You're going to have to lay it on the counter because it took effort to do that. At least I believe.
Yeah, I believe most people would.
So anyway, so I in going on a little farther about the handwritten note thing, George Bush Sr. was famous for handwriting notes. And when he passed away a couple of years ago, I was, kind of watching some of the eulogies and some of the reporters talking about him. And gosh darn it, if every one of those reporters didn't say, I was kind of on the left, and George Bush was on the right, but gee, he wrote me a 3-page letter one day after I had covered him. And with tears in their eyes, they were like, he was a great man. So I think there's a lot of power in writing in a handwritten note. And I go as far as tell these newbies, you're going to probably set up an office at your house. You're likely to have a home office. And I said, I want you to set up your home office as a handwriting note station first. Basically, I want you to be able to stand there and with your right hand, grab a pen, with your left hand, grab a blank card, set it in front of you, and write a handwritten note. Envelope's right there, stamp is right there. You're not missing anything. So the minute writing a note to somebody pops in your head, it is there. It is your first priority.
Yeah, that's great.
And then you can kind of pivot to your left and get on the computer.
That's awesome. So where are you coaching for other lead sources? So obviously sphere of influence, building your database day one. Is there any other lead sources that you recommend day one, or are you not even worried about that until like internet leads or other sources like that?
So and I'm glad you asked that. And basically, there's so much information that new agents are exposed to, and one of the things we talk to them about is, you're going to get a phone call that says, hey Luke, are you still practicing real estate in Wayne, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, well, yeah, and then they're going to say, well, are you accepting new clients?
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, yeah. And then they're going to say, hey, well, buy something, $300, for leads.
I have some leads for you. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so I basically say, you guys do not buy anything. And, first do the handwritten note. And then do not put it on Facebook until you've sent out those handwritten notes. And if you send out 100 handwritten notes, you'll get a piece of business within 4 months.
Wow.
You're touching enough people, and somebody's going to say, you know what, my daughter, needs a condo, and I want you to help them. So you get the handwritten note out. Once you've done that, then you put it on Facebook, and people on Facebook are going to see it. And the ones that got the handwritten note are going to be like, yeah, I knew that already. He sent me a handwritten note.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm in with Mike. He wrote me personally and told me, and then so you have that, and then we use at Pearson Smith Realty we have Happy Grasshopper, and I assume you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just that's another one. Guys get all the emails in there, get the Happy Grasshopper out, going to all those folks. And that now you're into the first month they've received a handwritten note from you telling you what you're doing. They've received an email from you, talking about signing up for a raffle and latest fun information about real estate. They saw something on Facebook. Oh, okay, cool. And then the ones that are you can for 50 people minimum or up to I have about 150 to 120 I send out. I sent them the American Lifestyle magazine. So all of a sudden, they're a 2-month-old agent, but their sphere of influence has received a handwritten note, seen a little social media, got an email, maybe got 2 emails now. All of a sudden, the magazine lands in their lap, and for those of you out there and listening to the podcast, American Lifestyle is a premier magazine that is produced by Reminder Media, which Luke is involved in, and so it is such a nice magazine that as a new agent, the people that are in their sphere of influence that will receive this magazine will look at it and go, wow, Jimmy's doing pretty good. If he sent me this magazine, and you can't throw it out, it's too nice. It's heavy. It's got a lot of pages. So it goes in the thing. And I sent it to my sphere of influence. I sent it to my dentist's office. I sent it to my car repair place. I sent it to my Chinese restaurant. I sent it to my Italian restaurant. And it's kind of funny, and I think I shared this with Luke on a phone call. I walk into my Chinese restaurant, and there's a manager there, and there's an owner, and the manager, his name is Kay, and I'll walk in, and he goes, "Oh, the real estate mogul man is here."
That's great.
And I'm like, Kay, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you're the real estate mogul man. And so I said, what are you talking about? And he went over, this was 5 or 6 years ago, and he went over and dug through some paperwork on their death and pulled out a American Lifestyle magazine.
Oh my gosh.
And said, if you're sending this out, you must be killing it.
Yeah, that's it.
And that really dawned on me. I was like, so one of the things that we're teaching the new folks at day one class is, handwritten notes are a lost art. People receive that. Wow. Then they some social media and some emails and that stuff. And then the magazine, which is customized and, it's pretty impressive. And then, by the time they've got the third magazine, they're an agent for 6 months. But that person that's received that considers them successful. Mm-hmm. Right. Right out of the gate. If you're doing that, and the cost is not exorbitant. And so this is really the only, we do suggest a few costs to the day one people. And that's, and I mean, to answer the earlier question, I didn't mean to dodge it. We talk about, other expenses being geographic farms, and kind of hyper local and all that. But we really want them to nail down the sphere of influence right out of the gate and make sure that is being taken care of through something that's ACE.
Yeah.
And AC, automatic, consistent, and effective marketing. So
I love that. I've never heard that acronym before. ACE, automatic, consistent, and effective. I'm going to have to use that. Nice. So I'm just rolling, guys. So tell me to hush if you need to, or hop in with questions. But one of the things that I say to them is when I first got into real estate in the early 2000s, internet was maybe 10%, 15% of the where you could find leads. And I come from doing a little bit of, I had a small e-commerce company that I started in the 90s. And so when I got into real estate, I was kind of a step ahead as far as building my website and spoofing Google and doing well with that. But after about 6 or 8 or 10 years of doing real well with search engine optimization and all that, I woke up one day and I wasn't getting leads from that anymore. And so what I had to kind of retool and go back and do was the things that I learned from Gary Keller's MREA. Yep.
So I'm saying to the new agents, as you get in, you're going to need to build your marketing stool. One of the legs that holds that stool up is your sphere of influence. And we've conquered that today, or at least got you in the right direction on that. Then you're going to need to figure out 2 others. And in the MREA, there's enough business out there just using the old fashioned techniques from the MREA that you don't have to necessarily buy leads from, the big 5, the Zillow, the big 5, Zillow, Redfin, Homes, Realtor, and
Trulia.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. No, it's so true. And like the stats back it up. Literally, it's like 64% of business in real estate comes from sphere of influence, referral and repeat business. So it comes from relationships. And then you look at like the stats of like 82% of sellers interview one agent. So when you're talking about consistent, right, automated, like all these things, you just go, oh man, yeah, it is so important that you have something automated, consistently going out that's effective for you, because 82% of people literally choose the first agent that they think of. And if you're not first because you didn't write the handwritten note, because you didn't send the magazine, because you didn't send the happy grasshopper email, because you didn't post on social, you're missing out. But most people just don't get it's in that consistency to a database over and over and over again that wins. They just don't see that day one. So that's amazing.
100% agreed. And just I just had another thought about the handwritten note business. I was kind of a Buffiniite for a while, not hardcore, but dabbled in some of that. I don't write as many handwritten notes as I should by any stretch. But I'm hoping I've taught a lot of people my day one class, or I've had a lot of people attended over the years, and the ones that do the sphere of influence stuff, setting up, writing the handwritten note and setting up their American Lifestyle setting up an automatic email that's going out. Those are the ones that I'm still talking to 5, 6, 7 years later that become successful in real estate. And I think the power of the handwritten note is it's so economically affordable, and it's such a personal touch that doesn't require, catching them on the phone.
Yep.
And and if you receive a handwritten note from your realtor, it's not, sometimes if my insurance guy calls me out of the blue, hey, Mike, I'm always happy to talk to him, but I know he's calling me for, to remind me about him being my insurance guy. So with the handwritten note, you're kind of just.
That's a great point, man.
It's such just a,
soft touch.
Hey, I took the 2 minutes to write you a note, no strings attached.
Yeah.
And basically I tell them, spend an hour a day, get purposeful on your Facebook. And I'm just not a big fan of Facebook. I'm so worn out on it after doing it for 10 years. But Facebook's super important. And I'm going to say if newbies are watching this, some will say like, well, I don't do Facebook, or I'm not really into that, or I do Insta. Well, here's the thing. 10 years ago or something, or 15 years ago now, Keller Williams was saying, hey, you got to do social media. Got to do social media. And I'm like, I'm a businessman. I don't have time for social media. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm doing that. But I have, and my wife at the time said, hey, Mike, we're getting invited to a party, but you don't have a Facebook account yet. And this was 2009. And she created one for me. And I looked at it, and a couple people had sent me friend requests. I was like, okay. And then so I got about 100 friends, and, we got invited to a party or two that way. And in spring of 10, I walked outside. It was a warm day, middle of March or some warm day, and the flowers had started blooming in my garden. Mm-hmm. And I walked out, and there was a beautiful flower in my garden. I'm like, oh, wow, I should take a picture of that. And I said, I should grab a and I had a camera in my pocket. No, I did. I was carrying around this camera. It was also a phone. And I, quick took a picture of the thing, and I was kind of touching it, and it said share. And I was like, oh, share. Okay. And I shared it on Facebook, Spring has sprung or something. And that was a Sunday morning, and Monday afternoon around 5, I'd finished my work for the day. Thought I'd check Facebook. I'm going to go check Facebook. It was a thing to do. And so I went, and I had 100 friends, and 23 of them liked my picture. And that dawned on me, oh my gosh.
That was the epiphany. Yeah, correct. Because you can reach, masses of people.
Well, I have 4,700 friends now.
Yep.
And do I know 4,700 people? No. But I'm kind of, I don't take just anybody. And I got purposeful. I found grade school friends, high school friends. I've done deals with people that I worked with 25 years ago that we didn't have internet when we worked together, but we became friends later. And then they looked because they knew I was a realtor.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
That's so good, man.
Anyway, so and back to the personal note thing. I tell people spend an hour every morning, and I don't do it as much as I used to. I'm getting old. Okay.
Cut yourself some slack, Mike. Come on.
Batteries are wearing down. Anyway, but sit there for an hour and go through and just look what people are posting. And, somebody posts a picture of their kid and you put, best, or, their kid did something good in sports, best. And somebody, got did a performance or got an award, bravo. A gal posts a selfie of herself, Bella, and you just go through and just kind of make sure that you're saying hey to people and all that. And then for the handwritten note piece, go through and say, okay, a person I haven't thought of in a while. And you go in and say, Joe Taylor, so I go look up Joe Taylor, and, if he posted something in the last week or two, his kid's doing good in hockey, I'll send him a note saying, hey, I saw where, your son Aaron, it made the team on hockey, man. That's really cool. I know you must be proud.
That's awesome.
Powerful.
Yeah, that's so good, man. So good.
Awesome, Mike. We really appreciate you coming on. Before we close out, can anyone take your class? Do they need to be local to you or your brokerage, or do you have a virtual sort of class that you do?
No,
also?
we don't have a virtual, and because the class changes every time.
Okay.
And we'll have people come back and take the class a couple of times, because we'll get, we'll go in rabbit holes and we'll talk about, you should buy your URL, or, you should get an email address that's going to last you 20 years. Mike Wagner Homes at AOL.com. But anyway, no, so we don't, but we're often thinking about, maybe ways of doing that. We're here in Northern Virginia at Pearson Smith Realty. So we have the class there for the folks there.
Awesome. Nice. How can people get in touch with you if they want to just connect?
I'm happy to help anybody. And it's funny, you were asking some questions when we were getting this together, and I answered the questions just recently. And one of the things I kind of figured out in my life is enjoying the gratitude from helping people. They're so happy that I've been able to help them. It's driven me to become a person that I just want to help anybody anytime that I can. So to answer your question, my phone, I'm MikeWagner.com. And my phone number's there, and let's go with, I'm not gonna say the AOL address again. It's Mike at MikeWagner.com.
Awesome, Mike. We appreciate it so much for coming on the episode today and sharing your experience. And thank you all so much for listening. You can dive deeper to this episode, get those links that Mike mentioned as well over at staypaidpodcast.com, all in one place. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, hop on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. We'll read it on a future episode. And the best way to support the show is simply to share the podcast with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow our journey on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Mike, thank you so much, man. So much wisdom there. I just encourage everybody who's listening to this podcast, you need to implement what Mike is talking about. And the first phase of that really is, do you have your database together? I'm telling you, I've been running Reminder Media for over a decade, and the biggest pain point is agents not having their list together. They don't have a database. So you got to get your database together. But here's my action item for you. You need to write 5 handwritten notes this week. You need to pick 5 people that mean something to you in your life and write a handwritten note to them. If you need to find out what you need to say in the handwritten note, go and check out their Facebook page. Use that tip that Mike gave you. See what's going on in their life. Include that in the handwritten note. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers are aces, right? They have automated, consistent, effective communication. That's what they do, guys. So top producers take action. Take action on that today.